My name's Justin. I chose Three Ninjas for Brendan and Nathan to give their take on. The movie's about three children who take down a crime ring that the FBI couldn't handle. I had to look that up. I haven't seen this movie in a long time, since I was probably 10 years old. I loved the movie as a kid, but I cannot imagine that this movie holds up. I look forward to finding out whether the guys agree.
You know when I pick a movie, that's when I'm under pressure now. The question always comes back to me, what were they thinking now? Whoa, what were they thinking? What were they thinking?
Welcome, everyone, to What Were They Thinking? Podcast about bad to questionable movies. I am your host, Nathan. With me, as always, my trusty Scooby-Doo, Brendan.
Yes, I am that man that you named Brendan.
Right. The Scooby to my Shaggy.
Yes, it is definitely me.
But it wasn't me. See what?
Yeah, I got you.
You
I
got
got you.
there, yeah. Right, and as I said, this is What Were They Thinking, a podcast about bad to questionable movies, and this month is Listener's Choice Month. It's always a great idea to have the internet tell you what to do.
Always a great idea. Sometimes it can go kind of okay, and then sometimes it, we'll see what happens at the end of this month.
Yeah. So, but this, starting off, I think we're kind of actually easing into it. We got a movie with some production value. It made major release. It was fairly well received by the target audience at the time.
No, the encounter is next week.
Yes, of course it is. But this week we are talking about Three Ninjas by Touchstone Pictures, aka Disney. And this is uncoolly not on Disney+.
And I actually wondered that too, why it wasn't. And I believe it's because another company owns the rights to all the sequels. So I think Disney is just like, you guys can have
Biding
it.
their time. Oh,
Yeah, or maybe that. It's gonna be it's gonna be the biggest deal of the century. Disney buys the rights to the Three Ninjas franchise. It's all happening.
We could finally get that Three Ninjas cinematic universe.
Yeah, the 3NCU.
Yeah. I saw this movie when I was in end of middle school, beginning of high school, I think. It's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, it's about three ninjas, and they're all young lads who have been trained in the deadly art of ninjutsu by their loving grandfather, Mori. Now, I know it's spelled M-O-R-I, but I couldn't help but think of Maury Povich every time they said this guy's name. These young lads, they're trained in the art of ninjutsu. They're by their grandfather. Their dad is an FBI agent who is apparently working I'm pretty sure he should actually be ATF because he's trying to take down arms dealers. And he just can't cut the mustard. So the boys have to step up and dismantle an international weapons ring.
Also, hilariously, he hates ninjas.
Yes, he does. And, well, hilarity ensues.
It tries to anyway.
It definitely tries to.
This is I was gonna say I would consider this to steal from another podcast. I would consider this enough to be a Brendan's never seen, because I definitely have, but I didn't remember shit about this movie. As soon as it started and ended, I was like, I may as well have just watched that for the first time. I was just like, I think I have. I feel like I definitely have seen it, but I don't remember any of this. The only thing when they started doing hi-yah, hi-yah, hi-yah every 2 seconds, I was like, oh, I kind of remember that. That could have been a trailer. I don't know.
Could have been. Or it could have been one of the sequels, because pretty sure they do that to no end in the sequels as well.
Yeah, I definitely watched High Noon at Mega Mountain so many times.
Because of the Hulkster and Jim Varney.
I think I watched it once, but I don't remember.
I've seen it a few times. So well, I guess, well, you know what? Sooner begun, sooner done. Let's dive right
Pitter
into
patter.
this.
Justin, thank you for the movie. Let's get into it.
Plot!
So we start off Ninja Summer Camp with Gramps. The boys are away. It's the end of their summer vacation, and they're being trained in the deadly art of ninjutsu by their grandfather, who's letting them use throwing stars.
Yeah, and by the way, we got a note here. Ninjutsu, I mean, they're all being trained to become like movie ninjas. Like, they're all being trained to be on like a ninja squad in a movie. Like, that's what the training is. Because it's all this like, take this little, like those little those little smoke bombs. He's like, you got to learn how to throw it and make yourself disappear. I'm just like, wait, what? It's just movie tricks.
Yeah. The shuriken thing, I've always found that interesting. Now, as a kid, I always liked the idea of the ninja star and seeing it used as a throwing object, but I came to find out later in life that it was actually originally or ideally supposed to be like an all-purpose tool, like almost like a knife, used to like undo ledges and open locks and things like that.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
I will say in this movie there is a scene early here where they attack their grandpa, like to have this whole like, oh, let's see if we can catch him off guard, throwing ninja stars at him. Like, they could have murdered him. Yes,
they could have. He could have ended up like poor Butters in that one episode of South Park.
Oh God. Just Victor Wong like for like the whole episode.
And they had to dress him up like a dog to take him to a vet and everything.
This movie would have taken a turn.
That doesn't happen. No. We get like, is it a montage? I don't know, because it's not. They're doing a lot of talking and stuff in it, but there's definitely like a almost like a collage of training things that they do within this, but it's not like, it's like the best around.
Yeah,
nothing will ever bring it. That's not playing or anything. The kids are training, so they can get their little wisecracks off, because there's at one point that someone makes note that, next time try attacking in a non-smoking section.
No.
See, because they use the smoke bombs. If you like jokes like that, settle in, get comfy.
This is like Dad Joke the movie.
Yeah, pretty much. I actually, my fourth or fifth note is like, the Cliche brothers wrote this, didn't they?
Yeah.
Like the Wachowskis or the Coen brothers, but all they do is write just stilted, hacky dialogue. The Cliche brothers.
And there's also like some obnoxious voiceover from all three of the ninjas at the beginning, and I was like, please tell me this does not last the whole movie. And thank the Lord above, it was only for about 10 minutes.
So after they have their, we get this kind of montage that's not really a montage. They get their ninja names, which is like it's a big. And they're like, we already have names, Grandpa. And then he's like, no, these are your ninja names.
Did you notice also like when they? Oh, sorry, I don't mean to go back again, but like, real quick in the voiceover, they make sure they specifically say our Asian grandfather, which I thought was just. I just thought that was weird.
There was a lot of reaching done in this movie to get them to be related to him.
I will stay right. I will say right here, bordering on impossible.
Yeah, because so the boys, their mother is half Japanese.
I mean, quote unquote.
Right. And because their grandmother was apparently some Atlantic City honey with big blonde hair and huge boobs.
When we found that out, I thought that was a joke. I was like, wait, what? And then Yeah, and so I guess through the lineage, but you're telling me that like through all of this, and I know they say that Maury's daughter is like half Japanese or whatever, but like you're telling me that like none of those kids would have been anything but the lily white children
Kids that they are. Yeah, right.
Like, come on, movie.
So, okay, they get their ninja names.
Yeah.
Rocky, Colt, and Tum Tum.
Tum Tum, because he's the fat one, guys.
Because his energy starts and ends with his belly, as Maury lets us know.
But he
And
also
the
saves the whole fucking day, which we'll get to later.
We'll get to that. The kids are also kind of bummed because their dad is a bit of a workaholic. And we find out that he's working for the FBI. Smash cut to dad working for the FBI.
But we do think at first that he's a bad guy, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Because he drives this dude who is doing the worst undercover work ever. He literally just has like he literally just put a dishcloth on his head. And he was like,
with a ring to keep it on.
Yeah, and he's just like, oh, I'm the evil Arab oil baron or whatever. Making a deal with an evil ninja named Snyder.
See? The cliche brothers. Hard at work for our enjoyment.
Wait, when he cuts someone, do they call that the Snyder cut?
You used it early. You used it early.
Nah, what are you gonna do?
You could have saved it towards the end.
Yeah, well. I have no willpower.
Right. And of course, the Snyder, the bad guy, has an army of ninjas who are the dumbest fucking ninjas in the history of ninjas.
But they take down the FBI?
Yes, they take down the FBI, but as we'll find out through several encounters through this movie, they are no match for some middle schoolers.
He also, he also has access to what I wrote down look to be Fisher-Price rockets.
Well, no, they're mortars,
but they look real fake. They look like children's toys.
Well, they're not. They're not the kind that you would put in like a rocket launcher, or either the kind that you would. You ever watched a war movie and you got the guys who they throw the rocket into the tube and it goes, poof, and it goes off, and that's what those things are.
It still didn't look right. Like part of it just looked like a toy.
Well, you know what? That's a very distinct possibility because this whole thing reeks of We Want to merchandise.
Oh, and I mean, spoiler alert, they definitely did.
Yeah. So we see this arms deal going on, and of course, the guy, the guy who's supposed to be the Arab fellow making this deal is not a very good agent. So much so that he gets so close to Snyder that he can be grabbed and used as a human shield.
Okay, and you said the ninjas beat up the FBI, and we already talked about how dumb both groups are. But the FBI, all of these agents, guess what they have, folks? Fucking guns.
Yep.
These ninjas don't have guns.
Yep. There's
not yet.
We'll get to that. But there's just, I'm not gonna get into his incompetence, but just to be able to get that close to be snatched up and grabbed, especially if he knows he's gonna be doing an arrest, and you don't get him within grabbing distance.
Yeah, and again, why doesn't that guy have a gun?
Right?
He's the one that I would give the gun to.
So, all right, so the whole deal goes south. The ninjas descend upon the FBI. Mayhem ensues, and of course Snyder gets away, and Dad is none too pleased. And then we cut back to ninja dinner with Mori Tanaka.
Yep.
Which is, you know what? I want to watch that on TBS. Ninja dinner in a movie with Mori Tanaka.
Kicks and coffee. Dun, dun, dun.
You know what? There's all kinds of stuff from the 80s that they could play. We could watch Ninja 3: The Domination, Enter the Ninja, Revenge of the Ninja, Marked for Death. There's just so many that they could play, and I would watch every week.
Don't we find out? Yeah. So, and then they find out the whole family dynamic, basically that this FBI agent Sam is married to Mori Tanaka's daughter, and we get to see a picture of Grandma in her
boobtacular greatness
Yes.
with her big hair. And old Tom Tom's like, whose hand is that, Grandpa? Whose hand is that, Grandpa? And you know what? And when you're watching as a kid, you're like, geez, why isn't Grandpa answering him? And as an adult, I'm like, yeah, shut up, Tom Tom. I got stuff to do.
The kids were a bit grating at times.
A bit, yes. Yeah. But Ninja Dinner is interrupted as Snyder decides that he is going to he's going to descend upon Tanaka because
But how do they know that he's there, Nathan?
Oh, he's got like this weird motion sensor thing set up where lights go off in the Japanese mask that he has hanging on the wall.
Yep.
And it like blinks, and does it make an audible sound? I want to say that it did.
I think it does.
Like
I wrote down who set up that alarm.
You know what? It would have been more plausible for him to sense that they were coming as, a ninja than it was for Arnold Schwarzenegger to sense that the guys were coming in commando.
I could smell them.
Stay downwind. So I will say this about Snyder. He does care about his employees so much so that he has all of his ninjas outfitted with safety glasses.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Was the fucking weirdest thing.
I don't understand that. So much so that I thought his little Woody Allen, Rick Moranis henchman dude.
Oh my god, that guy.
I thought he was one of the ninjas because of the glasses, and then I kept seeing all of them wearing them, and I'm like, oh, okay, never mind.
Now, obviously, this being a Touchstone release, Disney related, it was probably filmed out in California. Is that an OSHA thing? Maybe, I don't know. Operation Safety and Health. That sort of like.
Steve and Izzy, get at us.
Yeah, you guys lived out there. Let us know if you were a ninja, and I know you were, Steve. Did you have to wear safety glasses to practice as a ninja? You could hit up Montrose with it, or are you Me Too? I know you've got not Me Too as in like hashtag Me Too, but me as well. You could hit me up on the Twitter, as well. And yeah. So okay, Snyder wants Mori Povich or Tanaka to help him out because he wants him to get his annoying son-in-law off his back so he can get this business deal done just for a few days. And Tanaka refuses. We must note he is meeting with Snyder outside and has instructed the boys to stay inside. And just like the little insufferable shits that they are, they don't listen.
Nope. They do beat up a bunch of ninjas, though.
They do. And ninjas, I mean, in fairness, the ninjas made some pretty poor weapons choices in bringing rubber swords to this fight.
Also, if you think about it, they've brought swords and they go to fight with the kids. So, like, are they just going to murder these children?
There's that. There's also the fact that they've brought swords and they work for a weapons dealer.
Yep.
I mean, I don't feel Snyder needed to hire ninjas.
Everybody, you can never have enough ninjas.
Well, I can't argue that point. So there's this big fight and everything, and then when it kind of culminates and we get another exchange between Mori, Tanaka, and Snyder is talking about how when they were kind of partners, or at least affiliated with each other, Mori would run karate studios as a front for his business.
Right.
Which leads me to ask the question, was he the mob leader from No Retreat, No Surrender? Because if you remember, the mob from the Chicago outfit sent his lackey out to Seattle, or Sherman Oaks, because it starts in Sherman Oaks, California, to strong arm Jason's dad into letting them use his karate studio as a front for their operations.
Same guy.
This is part of the No Retreat, No Surrender cinematic universe.
And the Three Ninja one? Jesus.
Right. Yep. It's the boldest crossover in the history of cinema.
Snyder also does this great like slow clap after they've taken down all the ninjas, and
oh my god.
he wants
the
him...
worst cliched bad guy.
He even says at one point in the movie, I love being the bad guy.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, unless you're Razor Ramon cutting a promo in the 90s, you can't just say that in a movie. Come on.
Wonder if that's what inspired Big Scott Hall.
There you go. He watched Three Ninjas and he was like, I got it.
And
now.
they got the same, greasy kind of hairdo and ponytail. I'm just saying, just putting that out there.
But yeah, Maury's obviously like, no, I'm not going to train your terrible ninjas for you, Snyder.
Because they're terrible. They bring rubber swords to a fight.
And also moral reasons, but also they're terrible.
Well, you know what? I can't... He's taking the moral high ground now, but I mean, come on.
Yeah.
He's only doing that because the kids are there.
Is this where this is where he introduces them to the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man on steroids, right?
The training dummy.
Yeah, that looked like Stay Puft, but like on steroids.
But yeah, you're right. He's after Snyder goes away, Grandpa then has to continue teaching the kids. And he's teaching them about pressure points in fighting. And he's got this dummy, as Brendan said, that looks like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man on some janky steroids. And he's got it wired up so that if they kick or punch a specific section of the dummy, the eyes will light up, showing that you hit the pressure point correctly. If you're off by an inch, it doesn't light up. And of course, Tum Tum just spends the good portion of the dialogue that proceeded afterwards doing his best Bobby Hill impression. That's my purse! I don't know you!
Well, the grandpa does specifically point out one of the spots is right in the nuts.
Yes, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah. I just like how grandpa, though, is like also in the nuts.
The ball. And you know what? I'll tell you this. I'd like to say that I'm an honorable guy. But if I ever got into any sort of physical altercation, I would be the dirtiest fucking fighter ever.
Oh, that would be my first hit.
Right? You go for the nuts, go for the neck, go for the eyes.
Yeah, and then it's over, and then you can walk away.
Or, run away or whatever.
Yeah, drive away.
Get a few shots in before you take off.
Pick your poison.
Yeah, we're off. You spoke earlier about the ADR from the boys. We get an ADR whistle from Snyder when he's summoning folk, because he goes to whistle and he is clearly showing light. For all of you that aren't in the know, showing light is a wrestling term for when a punch does not necessarily come in snug enough to make it believable.
They go back home, right? They go back
Yes.
home. On the way, they sing a song. They sing that "On Top of the Mountain" song about killing their teacher.
On top of Old Smoky, all covered in blood. This is the schoolyard parody version of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were on top of Old Smoky, all covered in snow, I think. And then I actually knew that the parody of On Top of Spaghetti.
I've heard that too.
Kid. Right. This one is far darker.
Yeah, well, they're talking about like I shot my poor teacher or whatever, and I'm just like,
slug.
I know that I heard that back in the day when I was a kid.
Oh, I absolutely did.
But I think back and I'm like, fuck, that's rough.
Right?
Like, did we really sing that? Holy shit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Deck the Halls with Black and Decker. That Christmas standard. You never heard that? Oh my. Okay. As a grade 4 kid, and probably grade 3 as well, there was a parody of Deck the Halls that we would sing about decking the halls with Black and Decker, pulling down your pants and showing your pecker.
Wonderful.
Right. Childhood.
But yeah, this is where they established the whole family thing, right? With the FBI dad that's just kind of like too invested in his work. Which now, every time I see that character, by the way, I'm like, yeah, they got to make money for you, dummy.
And so summer camp with Gramps is over. The kids they're going back to mom and dad. Grandpa's driving up in a sweet fucking convertible. And the kids are wearing the most 90s sweaters ever. Like early 90s.
Yeah.
This whole movie is a fashion plate for that early 90s era where, it was not, it's not, you can't say it's 80s, but you certainly can't say it's the 90s that everyone kind of knows and loves.
It's that transition. They do establish here too that Rocky has a bit of a love interest with a girl named Emily.
Emily.
Emily
Rocky loves Emily.
Emily.
Emily. Jesus.
See our Neil Breen episodes for more.
We're just bringing them all back, aren't we, for this one? No retreat, no surrender, fateful findings. Rocky 5. I mean, we've already talked about Rocky, so
there you go. We did them all.
That's a Patreon exclusive too.
It actually is a Patreon exclusive. Hey,
it is a Patreon. Yeah. You know what? Here's the thing.
If you try 100 times, you're gonna get it once.
I get it right every single time because every time that I say Patreon exclusive, I mean cut that blooper shit up, put it in a supercut, and throw it onto Patreon to be a Patreon exclusive. In this case, however, Rocky 5 is legitimately a Patreon exclusive episode.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So 3 ninjas.
3 ninjas. Snyder he's saying, yeah, we gotta kidnap them kids.
We gotta while he's sparring with Woody Allen, Rick Moranis guy.
Right, why is he sparring with this guy?
Right? You have a ninja squad, and you pick this nerdy little, almost, I was actually shocked that they didn't go with like Jewish lawyer stereotype.
But, if you'll excuse me, I have to go get some bagels.
And that's all I mean by like Rick Moranis is that they don't go for the stereotype, but he's also kind of Woody Allen.
Yeah. And obviously Snyder doesn't understand that iron sharpens iron. I mean, you don't pick a weaker sparring partner. You pick somebody who is at or better than you.
Why isn't he sparring with fucking
Rushmore?
Rushmore,
whatever the guy's name is.
Yes,
yeah, friggin' Professor Tanaka.
Like, come on. Yeah. So Nathan, you mentioned that they decided to kidnap. Who do they call to do this kidnapping?
Fucking proto Danny McBride is the only way I can describe this guy.
A little bit Kevin Smith.
Little bit. It's like, okay, so it's like if Kevin Smith and Danny McBride did something unholy and had an offspring.
I like it.
Okay.
And then 2 other guys, and who cares about them?
2 other guys who are only known for this movie as far as acting goes.
So,
although one of them actually ended up becoming like a camera operator, behind the scenes guy. He's got a lot of credits for behind the scenes stuff.
I mean, good for him.
Yeah.
But these guys are like, okay, you could, if you didn't know what this movie was and you just turned it on and saw these characters, you would think it was an SNL sketch turned into a movie.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, because they took all of the nuance and subtlety of Bill S. Preston Esquire and Ted Theodore Logan and dumbed it down, like really dumbed it down.
Yeah, they just like they took those roles but forgot to add like the humanity.
Yeah, let's get some most excellent beef jerky.
Oh my god, bro, we're robbing this place, dude.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. Us boneheads are robbing from you, and they're.
I will say this. You know what? Good on them for at least knowing that they're boneheads.
Well, but that's the thing, right? Because they're alternately dumb and clever at the same time. Because
I thought you were gonna say dumb and dumber.
Because they I mean, they do rob this place. I mean, they do seem like they've had some success, but then also for most of the movie, they're just shown as like complete buffoons. Which again. Snyder, why are you hiring these guys?
Well, no, he didn't hire these guys. He hasn't seen these guys. These guys, I can't remember the Danny McBride, Kevin Smith guy. Let's call him Danny Smith or Kevin McBride.
I like Danny Smith.
Danny Smith. Okay, so Danny Smith is, Woody Moranis's nephew.
Yep.
And that's because that's what he said when we're gonna kidnap these kids. He's like, "Excuse me, sir, I'm gonna my sister's kid. He can't say nephew apparently. My sister's kid. He's done work for us before. He's very good." And it doesn't sound like this. I'm being terrible right now, but they hire him, and that's how they get hired. It's not through Snyder. Snyder doesn't know these guys at all.
Okay, but then why does he hire them?
Because it's his sister's kids, and they're very good. They're very good.
And they rob that poor little man's convenience store.
Mm-hmm.
But in the middle of it, they get that call that you mentioned, and they're just like, "Dudes, we got to stop robbing this store. We got a real mission now."
Yep.
So...
then we cut back to the kids, and they're getting ready for their nighttime. It's like their end of day routine sort of thing. I'm not sure what Colt is doing, but Rocky's talking on a tin can of phone. That's not how tin can phones work, by the way.
No, you can't just set it up on a goddamn tripod.
No, it has to be like the string has to be pulled tight so the vibration goes through the string and then you hear it. That's how it works. What were they sciencing? I mean, really.
We could say that for so many movies. I'm actually surprised you didn't first bring up the Mario 3 game.
That was my next thing, actually, because I was saving the best for last.
Okay.
Because Tum, the smart one, is playing Super Mario Bros. 3, the greatest video game ever made.
And they mostly got it right. The sounds are correct, but they're out of sync. I noticed that there was like jumping when Mario was just kind of walking around.
Yeah. I mean, that's ADR, because we've already mentioned the ADR issues within this film.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I was like, man, and the unfortunate thing is that in this exchange we get a bad R.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't shocked, but I will say that I was.
No, because it was the time that was kind of thrown around. It doesn't make it right, but I mean, that's why it's there.
I will say that there was less of that in general in this movie than I thought there was going to be.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, because that was a favored slur of middle school kids back in the day. I can, as a middle school kid from back in the day, I can attest to that.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I definitely used it a lot when I was a kid.
This came out in 92?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have been 15, so yeah.
Okay. But Rocky is like talking with his little gal friend there, Emily.
Mm-hmm.
Emily! And
Emily!
The other two are like
and
making fun of him.
Rocky loves Emily. Rocky loves Emily. Which I don't know if it made the cut of the soundtrack, but it's an absolute shame if it didn't.
Well, it's definitely not as good as the song that closes the film, I'll say that.
Oh? Okay.
Oh, you should listen to that song.
Okay. I kind of stopped it once it was all over.
Oh, no. Go, find that song. I'll send you the link.
Okay.
But the dudes show up, the bros show up, and their truck says, or their van says, "Die yuppie scum." So
you know what? Points in the good column for them, as far as I go.
Yeah, sure. I mean, fuck.
Those fucking assholes ruined. They ruined the 2000s for everybody. Yuppies, fucking. Well,
but I do like how. I should say the optics of this are a bit creepy because it's just three grown men driving around in a van around a suburban neighborhood looking for kids.
Yes, which is everything that your mother told you about at that time was happening.
Yep.
So this movie just reinforces that fear that your mother tried to instill in you about stranger danger.
Guys, moms love Three Ninjas.
Yep. So they're just kind of surveilling, and I believe Dad comes home and there's cops and stuff there, so they're not going to make their move that night. We cut to the next morning. The boys are all going to school. Of course, they meet up with Emily because
Emily
Rocky loves Emily. Rocky loves Emily. Rocky loves Emily. And of course, they got to show off. Because they're riding to school, and they got to ride through the construction site, do all kinds of wicked jumps and pop wheelies and stuff, as one does as a kid in the 90s. And she's not having any of it because she either doesn't know how to do that or is not interested in that. So she takes an alternate route and is accosted by some bullies, one of whom played Doughboy in Boys in the Hood. The young version of Doughboy, in Boys in the Hood.
That's funny.
Yep.
These are the worst, like, and you mentioned this is like written by the Cliche brothers. Holy shit, these bullies, man. Like, the guy says, like, when one of the ninjas is like, "Oh, my name is Colt," and they're like, "Colt? Oh, what a name!" Like, what? Like, and also, like, if this was realistic, this movie would have to be rated R because these bullies would have been way crueler than this in 1992.
Oh, didn't you ever hear the Anthony Anderson has a bit? I think they used it on Blackish once, where he's talking about talking smack, and it doesn't even have to make any sense. You just have to say it in a way that makes the person off their kilter about their their confidence. He's like, you could just be wearing a button-up shirt, and if you say things like, "Look at this button-up shirt wearing motherfucker," that's an insult. It's like, you've accurately described what the guy's wearing, but it's an insult.
Yeah, fair.
So they take Emily's bike. Then we cut back to the Boneheads, led by Danny Smith, talking to what did we settle on for him?
Woody Moranis or
Woody Moranis, yes.
Or Rick,
because Rick Allen just sounds too plain.
Yeah.
Woody Moranis, he's
Woody
Woody Moranis, and wasting some prime Metallica stickers on that phone booth. Not gonna lie, those Metallica stickers, there's some Pusshead ones in there. Those are some solid stickers that should not have gone on a phone booth in Modesto or wherever the fuck they are.
And listen, I hope Lars got paid properly because he really suffers.
Fuck
he
that
really
guy.
suffers, guys. Napster nearly put him in the poorhouse.
You know what? If I'm just gonna get off for a second. When that whole thing happened and they interviewed him and he was trying to make his case about how they weren't getting paid for the music that they were writing or that he conducted the interview about them not getting paid next to his gigantic pool in his mansion in California. And it's like, you know what? My heart does not bleed for you.
Oh, also, I just want to mention, I forgot to mention this earlier, but when they tell the bros to like go kidnap the boys or whatever, one of them goes, "Any little boys?" And I'm like, who do you think you work for, dude?
Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, holy shit. That was a loaded question. But yeah, back to the bullies.
Back to the bullies, because then we get it. We're treated to a basketball game. I did note that the kid who played Doughboy in young Doughboy in Boys in the Hood, he's wearing like an MIA POW hat. So I don't know if one of his relatives is a veteran or something like that, but I feel that if he's wearing that hat in support of an uncle or his dad or a brother or something like that, that's not how he intended you to use your freedom, kid. Stop stealing little girls' bikes.
Right?
That's the message that's absolutely behind this movie.
And by the way, the bullies do win this basketball game, but can they really be proud of it? Because the ninjas, like Rocky and Colt, give them a 9-point lead in a 10-point game to start.
Yeah, exactly. And the boys basically they school them, and of course, they're by the end of the bullies are fouling them left, right, and center. The three ninjas are not calling the fouls, and of course, the bullies win, and now they have Emily's bike as well as Colt's and Rocky's bikes.
Wah wah.
Yeah.
We watched the international version too, by the way, guys. The 95-minute version is apparently the international version, and okay. I think the shorter version has some stuff deleted. I think it doesn't have I don't know. It's got something to do with the bullies. I'll find out and then I'll let you know.
Okay, please do, because to be fair, I gave that one to you because I didn't give it to you last week. To be fair. I was gonna say I remember all of this stuff, but again, I would have saw the international version because Canada.
Yeah. Exactly. There you go.
In theaters, so yeah. All right, so we got that, and then this is where the boys find out that Grandpa might be a bad guy. Because they're snooping around in Dad's study, trying to figure out why Dad's not around. He's always working and stuff, and they want to kind of know about what Grandpa's doing, or not Grandpa, what Dad's doing, why he's never home for supper, and things like that. And the mom, who is absolutely respectful of all national security, just goes, "Oh, there's some files there on the desk. Why don't you rifle through those? They're just your dad's personal work files. I'm pretty sure he's fine with you looking through them." And then they find the picture of Mori Tanaka and the boobtacular grandmother in the same frame. The other hand, the Tum Tum wanted to know who it was. It's Snyder. And I think it's Colt that sees this.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Grandpa's a bad guy?"
But by the way, quick update. There's a bunch of stuff that it lists, but the one interesting thing is the difference between the international version and the theatrical US release or whatever. Is that after the bullies win that basketball game, there's no comeuppance for them in the US theatrical one.
What?
Yeah, I thought that was weird.
That they don't get like the bikes. Oh, know, I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil it because we're going to talk about it at the end.
Yeah.
And we're going to treat all of our American listeners, because I was kind of mean to them last week. We're going to treat them with possibly a reenactment of that scene,
Okay.
just audio, and that'll be nice. It'll make up for the mean things I said last week.
Yes.
All right, so yeah, Grandpa's a bad guy. Mom and Dad are going out, and apparently they've hired Mrs. Doubtfire to babysit.
She's useless.
And you know what? The thing with this was, I thought that she was going to be, I think her being like almost like a drill sergeant-esque type lady was going to give me some little comedy bits in there. They didn't do it, because the kids are up in the room the whole time. She's downstairs the whole time. And the boneheads figure out the best way to kidnap these kids is to pose as pizza delivery guys.
Yep. And they push a pizza in the babysitter's face, push her into a closet. And
one of the guys is like, "Not cool, man." And he's like, "Whoa, it's sensitive." And then the guy opens the door, takes out a slice of pizza. "That's better."
Yep.
Because, see, get it? Because they're stoners from Southern California.
And by the way, so let's just check. I just want to double check the script. Yep, it says right here is where Home Alone starts.
Thank you.
This is like for the next 20 minutes or so. This is Home Alone.
Yeah. The boys do see that this happens to their poor babysitter. And they go back to the room, close the door. I also noted really sweet Shokashugi. Or Shokosuji, however you pronounce his name, I'm not sure. On the back of the door, him with that holding the katana sword up with the getting ready with the Ai-yah, because I know you like hearing that so often, the Ai-yah. I had one. I actually had a choice between that and Shokashugi drawing a bow and arrow to fire, and it's like Shokashugi, the ninja, and then like a brief explanation of what ninjas were. Had that one. I chose that one over that particular poster. One of my many lifetime regrets. But you know what? My poster choices aside, Three Ninjas.
Three Ninjas.
Yeah.
Colt, by the way, I mentioned that this is like Home Alone in this part. I think Colt intentionally references that, because he even does like the Macaulay Culkin pose, like holding his face and going,
"Yes, he does."
"Oh no."
Yeah. We also we kind of ran past it, but it does come into play here. The boys have the same security setup that Grandpa has.
Yes, they have the mask with the fucking flashing light.
Well, no, it's just a red light.
Yeah.
They don't enforce it. They don't have the intricate setup that Grandpa has with the mask.
Right.
They've just got it set up so that a light bulb will go off, and then they unscrew the light bulb so their mom doesn't know what that's all about. Like, I
love
really?
how stupid this fucking scene is, though. Like, this whole sequence, because like at one point they're like beating them up in the dark, and they start hitting each other because they think they're messing with each other or whatever.
Oh yeah, because the kids are like, let's suit up. They're gonna put on their gis that their grandfather gave them, the masks that go along with their ninja name. and they're gonna myrtleize these guys.
Let's myrtleize them. And
So they get out, and the guys, the boneheads, come upstairs, and Danny Smith actually notes, "Whoa, cool room." And you know what? He's not wrong. I mean, Super Mario Brothers 3, the Sho Kosugi poster, and a Gretzky in like early LA Kings era. Man, that's a cool fucking room.
and a bunk bed.
Yeah, a bunk bed too. Yeah.
But
And a tin can phone that defies all scientific logic.
Yep. And they also they go into the hallway at one point and they spread like oil all over the floors. And so they're like, "We're coming after you, dudes!" And they fall. And then what are we calling him? Kevin.
Sorry. Yeah. No, Danny Smith.
Danny Smith.
Not Kevin McBride. Danny Smith.
Danny Smith.
Because Kevin McBride sounds like a country singer.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous. but they slip, and then Danny Smith gets up and he's like, "Oh, wipe out, dude." All their one-liners are after bad things happen to them for the most part.
Okay, and so yeah, like you said, Rocky defaces the mask that his grandfather gave him in a cherished, honored ceremony.
Yeah,
paints it just straight white so he can use it as a disguise as camouflage and hide from these guys. And then of course he beats them up in secret because they can't tell where he's at in the room that's totally white. Of course, like you said, they fall down the stairs, breaking several bones. Well, they don't, but I mean, they absolutely would. I actually have noted here, if this didn't have the whimsical music accompanying it, this is a horror movie.
Yeah. Well, fucking Danny Smith nearly gets hung by a noose.
Right?
I was like, "You're gonna murder him." Which, I get it. They're coming in to kidnap these kids, but this is a step. This is a step past what I thought they were gonna do.
And then at one point, they pour liquid laxative into their milkshake because they're gonna pepper bomb them.
Yeah,
they've mixed these pepper bombs with cayenne and all the. You know what? I did that once as a kid, and I got such a talking to from my father, basically saying that don't ever do that again, because if you threw that in your brother's face, you could legitimately kill him.
Mm-hmm.
Because apparently the capsaicin and the spiciness will actually take the person's breath away, and they can't breathe.
I was actually shocked that the movie was reserved in its exploration of this X-Lax storyline, plot point here, because
yeah.
I was really expecting a scene where they're just farting and shitting for 5 minutes.
I kind of was too. We don't get treated to that, but what does happen here is that they do that. They lax the milk. The guys, they drink the milkshake to take care of the heat from the pepper bombs. All while this is going on, Emily comes over, and
she gets lured over by Danny Smith, who I'm like,
right.
Emily, how do you not know that's not Rocky?
Right? He doesn't sound like a fucking SoCal stoner surfer.
He's like, "Whoa, it's me, Rocky. I'm like a little dude," and it's like, what?
Emily, that's not how people talk.
No. Yeah, and they put a gun to Emily's head.
Thank you. This movie, the target audience for this movie are kids. I'm gonna say kids, mostly boys, but kids, age range 10 to, how old did I say I was? 15.
15.
That way I don't seem weird. 10 to 15, and they put a gun to a little girl's head.
Yes.
Luckily, just as they do that, the laxatives kick in.
Yeah, and then Tom pounces down from the ceiling and kicks the other dude.
Yeah, so the other guys they scuttle off. They leaving Kevin McBride. Nope, Danny Smith. With all the guns, so he can't really train it on Emily anymore. The other guys, they run off upstairs, and of course the other guys, they have to the three ninjas, they have to go out and get these guys to kind of stop them from attacking. They bust in on the Asian chap, who then begs them, "Not in the stomach, dude." and they oblige him by punching him in the face,
Not-
and he thanks them.
Not
So
the
nice.
other guy though. They hit him right in the stomach.
They do, but he, in fairness, he didn't ask.
He didn't.
Right.
How were they to know?
You know what? The squeaky wheel gets the grease. If you don't speak up, you don't get, the courtesy of not getting punched in the stomach while your belly's full of laxatives.
It's like Hillary Duff said, raise your voice.
Right, exactly. And that's exactly what she meant. That she was referencing this particular scene.
Yeah. And not her own film, Raise Your Voice.
Right, no. Actually, I feel that that because she had said that about this particular scene, that is indeed what inspired that movie. Now, they do get off on a bit of a tangent, and I don't believe there's no milkshakes with laxatives in that movie, but still, I mean, really, humble beginnings.
I mean, there's only one way to find out if there is milkshakes with laxatives in that movie, Nathan. So we watched Raise Your Voice this week, and this movie starts out with...
I did. The funny... I did get a dad joke in for the note here, because when Rocky's up top, like when he's attacking Danny Smith, he's sitting on top of a boar's head that his dad has as like a hunting trophy. I was like, oh, look at that, they're gonna bore him to death. Oh, I'm not the same age I was when I watched this movie.
I do like that Emily is just like, pop, and like goes to grab the soda, and they have to be like, Emily,
No.
that's the diarrhea cup.
Yeah, that's the diarrhea cup. Yes, I have that exact wording as my note.
Yep. It's like, wait, that implies that someone shit in that cup.
Right. It's you would need to explain that is a cup that causes diarrhea, not that it's a cup full of diarrhea.
Yeah. And you think Tom Tom would know the difference. But anyway.
He would. I mean, that his energy starts and ends with his belly.
That's right.
Now we're going to Schneider's boat. Or is this the ninjas with the M16s show up?
Well, because is Woody Moranis, Odd Job, and all the ninjas show up and kidnap the kids.
And they're ninjas with M16s. This is the first time they've had M16s in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, you know what? If you're just gonna be an arms dealer who gives your henchmen guns, you don't need to hire ninjas.
Just hire
You
people.
don't need to train them either, because I don't think he hired them. I think he hired them just blank slates, kind of the way Vince McMahon doesn't like to hire, other people who have learned other wrestling schools techniques, because he just wants blank slates.
Yeah.
And he trains them in his style. So what I'm saying is that Vince McMahon is as terrible as international arms dealers.
Wow.
I think that's what I'm getting at.
I mean, I think that's fair.
Okay.
He probably has more. Anyway.
So they take the boys, and Dad and Mom get home, and obviously they're distraught. Grandpa shows up in his fucking ninja robes.
His ninja robe is ridiculous. It is like too big for him, I think.
Okay, not since Lee Van Cleef in The Master have I seen such a woefully fitting ninja robe and such an obvious stunt double when we get to the fighting.
And I think that's the reason for the ninja robe being too big, is that they can more easily hide the stunt double, even though they don't hide that stunt double, because guess what? The body shape is so different, and he moves like a 20-year-old man. Like, there's no way that's Grandpa.
Right. But Grandpa, and of course, as we mentioned earlier, Dad does not like the whole ninja thing with Grandpa, but Grandpa's like, I love these boys too. Give me 1 hour. And then as a sworn officer agent of the Federal Bureau of Investigations, he allows his geriatric father-in-law an hour's worth of grace time to go find the boys.
Yep, seems...
That's what you do in investigations.
Seems perfectly fine to me.
It's absolutely reasonable.
Yeah.
And, but before he gets a chance to turn around and actually tell Grandpa, okay, you got an hour, he turns around and, ninja, vanish!
That was so stupid.
Just like in Ninja Turtles.
That was so dumb. I was like, wait, okay, movie. He turned around for 5 seconds. I want to see the cut of this movie, by the way, that just shows him throwing it down and then quickly running away.
And he
just gets in a car. He just jumps on a bike and takes off. Ninja.
He tells his son-in-law that no one will see him. And not because he's super stealthy, is because not only are Snyder's ninjas idiots, they're also apparently blind.
Yeah, because he takes them out one by one with like no struggle.
And there's several times where there's that part where he's climbing up the ship rope to get onto the ship. That light flashes on him and he is clearly visible. And any guard worth their salt would be like, oh, that's pretty weird. There's a dude climbing up the rope there.
Did he forget about the stairs? Is it Jerry?
It's got to be Jerry.
Oh.
He's a real keener, a real go-getter. Just always wanted to train. So that's probably why he's not using the stairs or the gangplank. He's using the rope. You go get him, Jerry. You go get him. You are gonna be employee of the month, ninja of the month. That's right. Go, Jerry.
Wait, is Jerry 70 years old?
No, he's got this back thing.
Oh, okay.
He tweaked it last week.
Right.
That's why he's walking like
when
that.
When he fights, he looks a lot younger.
He does, because he's spry. That's Jerry. That Jerry to a T. Jerry the Ninja is a spry ninja.
And the fucking kids at this point still think that they're like, I still think Grandpa might be the bad guy, and I'm like,
Just Colt.
Colt
thinks that.
Well, Colt's an idiot.
And he kind of he's and actually this was the part where I'm watching this and I'm like, they need a Donatello because they have the same character traits as the Ninja Turtles.
They
but there's no Donatello.
Yes,
because Rocky's the leader.
Yep.
Tum Tum is obviously Michelangelo.
100%.
And Colt is Raphael.
So, and Grandfather is Splinter.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Because he even hates pizza.
Oh, shit.
Boom. Mind blown.
Who got cut?
That's what I'm doing here.
Who got cut?
Blowing. Right. Exactly. This should have been 4 ninjas.
A young Joey Gordon-Levitt weeps.
Because he could have been the nerdy brother who was super into science.
Well, it would have been better than that movie where Joey Gordon-Levitt was Patricia Arquette's child husband.
Absolutely, because you're talking about Milk Money?
No, what the hell is that called? I don't remember what it's called. Somebody will tell us.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah. Oh, Holy Matrimony is the name of the film.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's where she's married to Patricia Arquette's married to another criminal, and they go back to they go in hiding into his Amish hometowns. He grew up as an Amish person, and his little
yes.
Yeah.
I know this. I haven't seen it, but I know this movie, and I think that's why I want to think that I'm confusing with Milk Money.
Okay.
Because I think they may have came out about the same time, and they have kind of sort of similar premises, where a fish out of water is put into a more reserved, conservative communal compound. In this case, Amish.
Holy Matrimony is disturbing.
All right,
let's move on.
Coming soon.
Yeah.
Okay, they need a Donatello, and apparently one of the guards is an idiot. In actually, if you're looking at this, several of the guards are idiots because they put the boys in a room with a phone handset.
Yep.
So they can call the bridge, and that's what they do. And I think it was Colt or Rocky, one of them, puts on their best big boy voice and goes, "Oh, I need a phone check. I'm in the boys' cell. Call me back." And he hangs up, and then the phone rings. He calls back. He answers the phone, and then he beckons the guard and says, "It's for you." And the guard comes in, and of course they kick the shit out of him because, they're middle schoolers and he's a grown man.
Yep.
With possibly an M16, I can't remember.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the next while is just a bunch of action shit. Just a bunch of fight scenes.
Yeah. And as this note, why did Snyder change his clothes?
I didn't notice that.
He went and put on his silk pajamas.
Well, I mean, he dressed.
I'm guessing they're supposed to be his ninja garb, but he's wearing
his sleepy ninja garb.
Right. Right. He's gonna sneak up on slumber unawares.
There's also take that, sleep. There's also a scene during this whole fighting montage or not montage, but like, collection of scenes, sequence, where the bad ninjas just kind of stand there while the kids are like fashioning together weapons from whatever they can find in the room. And I'm like,
yes.
How long are you going to let them do this for?
They make nunchucks out of stuff because, okay, so they're surrounded. And of course, this is very reminiscent of the scene from the original Ninja Turtles movie where Michelangelo has this nunchuck showdown with another member of the Foot Clan, right? And I know you haven't seen it.
Oh, I have now. I have seen it.
Oh, you have now?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's very reminiscent of that scene, but in order to show off their prowess with the nunchucks or nunchaku, they make nunchucks out of just random things that are in this ship's steerage compartment. One of which is a friggin' 2 pairs of spanner wrenches, and they proceed to beat the shit out of somebody with a pair of spanner wrenches that are strung together. That would have hurt like a motherfucker.
Oh, yeah.
And as you said, they just let them do it. Like, this is the 3rd time I've actually noted idiot ninjas. Because these ninjas are idiots.
They still think that Grandpa might be the villain, and I don't know why Mori felt like he had to be ominous when he approached the kids, just took out a ninja star, like a knife, a sword or whatever, and just reaches back. He doesn't say anything and throws it, and of course it goes just past them and hits like the ninja behind them. But like, couldn't he have said
Kills
duck?
a ninja. This is like the only legitimate kill that I can think of.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But why didn't he just tell the...
He murders a guy in front of the kids.
Why didn't he tell them to duck, though?
Right?
He doesn't know he's in a movie.
Oh, the only thing I can think of is that he thought that the other ninja thought that he was part of Snyder's ninja army. So if he had told the kids to duck, he would have known, oh, something's up. I should probably duck too and not get a knife hurled into my chest.
But the crazy thing is, like, he doesn't know that anyone's suspicious of him, I don't think.
Right.
I don't know.
So that's why he doesn't yell it, because that way he keeps up the idea that they think that he is one of Snyder's ninjas, and then he just throws the sword and kills the ninja. Then, thus obviously blowing his cover.
Yep. And then the ninjas just like all get their own fights, I guess, like Tom Tom, Rocky, and Colt.
And all of this stuff actually, it begged the question to me: how are these people international criminal masterminds? Because they get proceeded to get beat up by 3 middle schoolers.
Yeah.
Maybe actually I'm gonna adjust that: 2 middle schoolers and an elementary schooler, because Tom Tom's the youngest, and most kids' siblings are Irish twins, about 2 years apart.
I don't care how good you are at being a ninja. You are children.
Right. If you get the crap kicked out of you by a kid in 6th grade, you are an awful, awful ninja.
Yep. But then they do meet their match, Nathan. They fight off against Rushmore.
Yes, or also known as Toru Tanaka, Professor Tanaka.
But then,
yeah.
Thankfully, their Stay Puft steroid marshmallow training comes into play.
That's my purse. I don't know you, Toru Tanaka.
And they take him down pretty easily, honestly.
Well, I mean, if they know all the pressure points exactly, then that's a plausible thing. However, I feel that a fella that size and as trusted by Snyder as he is would know to defend those parts of his body.
Yeah. Like, this guy should not be defeated.
But they light him up, light him up.
Yep. Well, now we're going to have to pay for that.
$100.
$100. But then, of course, the big thing here is, like, we finally get the big showdown, right? Snyder.
Gramps' final battle,
yeah. Snyder versus Mori. And he's like, if you win,
I'm picturing Zack Snyder versus Maury Povich.
Yeah, let's do
in
it.
a battle to the death.
Let's do it. It would be like 5.5 hours.
The tests show this is not your cut.
This is where you get a lot of the terrible Tanaka stunt or Mori Tanaka stunt double shit here.
Yeah, and more wobbly swords.
Yep. But I love how Tom is the one who kind of saves the day, right?
Well, just before that happens, Schneider gets him with a Mr. Fuji.
Yes, he does throw salt in his eyes.
It throws the salt right in the eyes, and it's or you know, for all you non-wrestling fans who love, you know, kind of questionable movies, it gets him with the
Bloodsport?
Bloodsport. Chong Li.
Okay, yeah.
Chong Li.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that movie's based on a real guy who did all those things for real.
Jesus. We won't get into that.
One day.
Yeah.
But yeah, he does. He throws salt in his eyes, and then Mori fights pretty dirty too, because he takes like the good luck jelly beans that Tom gave him and just stuffs them in Snyder's mouth and chokes him.
It makes him choke. Yeah, choke on your jelly beans.
And he just like, you know, kicks him down, but then fucking Snyder gets up with his gun and he's like, "I lied. I'm gonna mow you all down." And that's when the FBI, the very helpful FBI, shows up.
And it should be the ATF.
Yep. Like,
Because
where were you guys
it's
5 minutes ago?
He had to wait 1 hour.
So you're telling me that
because that's what he promised. He had a stopwatch going on. He is a company man to the T. He synchronized his watch so that 1 hour from now he was be able to bust in with the FBI. That should be the ATF.
Okay, so my next question then is, how did they manage to shoot Snyder right in the shoulder when they all had guns earlier, but no one could do it?
They were waiting for the hour to be up.
Oh my God. No, I'm talking about like at the beginning of the movie.
Oh.
I mean, they all had guns. Someone's got good aim. Come on, guys. But yeah, so they shoot him in the shoulder, and is that the end of the movie, Nathan, or is there more scene?
No, there's one more scene, but before we get to that, during this fight, and this is before Snyder is going to try to kill Grandpa, and then he gets shot in the shoulder, as you mentioned. It comes to the point where Grandpa gets the upper hand, and he actually has the ability to deal the death blow. He could kill Snyder, and he doesn't. And to which I noted, you've already killed somebody in front of these kids. What's stopping you now?
Yeah, where are your morals now?
Right? And then a father and son-in-law reunion is only a motion away. That's a parody. We don't know anybody anything.
Sweet. You found a loophole.
Right. And of course, because the boys have stopped an international weapons smuggling ring, they get pizza.
They get pizza. And Grandpa, like you said, is like, pizza.
So he's Splinter,
Yeah.
obviously.
But then there's one more scene.
Okay, so we get we as Canadians and other international listeners as well are treated to an additional scene where the boys confront the bullies yet again, led by a young doughboy from Boys in the Hood, and they proceed to beat the shit out of them.
Yeah,
because take their bikes back. I want to know this. Okay, actually, I think the not doughboy, the white kid who's like the co-leader, I guess, of this bully gang.
The one who kind of looks like Eddie Furlong's best friend in T2.
Yeah, but it's not, because that's actually Sam from Different Strokes.
Yeah.
And he was the voice of Dave the Barbarian, fun
shit.
fact. Or interesting tidbit. I mean,
Tidbit, it's
whichever
interesting.
you choose. It's more of an interesting tidbit, really, because, I mean, who says fun facts? Fucking lunatics. That's
Savages
right.
in this town.
Absolutely. He is riding Emily's bike.
Yeah.
And when they took the bike in the first scene, they said, that'd be a good bike for my sister.
Maybe this is just a super progressive movie.
And he was actually talking about himself and was afraid because he was not living his best life because it was 1992 and that sort of thing was frowned upon.
There you go.
Yeah, we kind of put that. But they do beat the shit out of these guys, take their bikes back, and as they're driving away, old Tom Tom gets one last bonk in on Doughboy. Roll credits to apparently a perfect song.
Oh, the perfect song.
Oh, it's a rap. No, I did listen to some of it.
Yeah.
Because I immediately thought, oh, yeah, it's a rap, but the raps that were on the Ninja Turtles soundtrack was way better.
I just, any movie from the 90s that has its own theme song with the actors from the movie sometimes chiming in, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Like Hulk Hogan saying it's a nice place to visit, but you wouldn't want nice place to live, but you wouldn't want to visit there.
Yup.
You know?
Exactly.
See, this is a fine song, but it does not compare to Turtle Power.
Oh, no, for sure.
You know what? I hot take. Better than Ninja Rap by Vanilla Ice.
Oh, that's not a hot take at all. I agree.
You know what? I just feel that there are a lot of people that might disagree with me on that. I do enjoy Robert Van Winkle's take on what it is to be a Ninja Turtle.
Mm-hmm.
However, I feel that the Partners in Crime, because that's the name of the group that are partners. It was Partners in Crime, Partners in Rhyme, Partners in Rhyme. I think it was that did Turtle Power from the Ninja Turtles soundtrack. Did a far superior job because not only they let you know about how great the Ninja Turtles are, they actually kind of spelled out the story of the Ninja Turtles movie, which is an amazing movie.
I love how in depth that was.
I listened to that soundtrack a lot. Actually, I had 2 copies of that soundtrack. I had one in Raphael Red and one in Michelangelo Orange.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's 3 ninjas, right?
Mm-hmm. That is 3 ninjas. So I guess that leads me to ask you, Brendan, is this worth a watch? Is it a drunk watch with friends? Are you going to attempt head trauma to forget it, or are you going to avoid it like the plague?
This was a drunk watch for me.
Yeah.
I can see watching this as just like a dumb kids movie. I kind of enjoyed how stupid it was. So I'll say a drunk watch.
And okay, so 15-year-old me says worth a watch.
I thought you were going to say 15-year-old me says a drunk watch.
No, but 43-year-old me says a drunk watch with friends, 100%.
Yeah.
Because it's so ridiculous but endearing at the same time.
Oh yeah. Like, and again, you mentioned like that one moment where they say the not so great word that they say, but that's not very common in the movie.
No. And as you noted, it only happens the one time.
Yeah.
And for a movie about 3 kids in late elementary to middle school, it happens just that one time. That's pretty great.
The only other thing is that I still question how many white people were in that family. But regardless, what are you going to do?
Well, I mean, at least we get to see Boobtacular Grandma twice.
There you go.
So, I mean, that's all right. And she was as blonde can be.
Oh, yeah. She was Dolly in it, for sure.
Yes, thank you. She did look kind of like Dolly Parton, didn't she? But so with that, we are actually going to take a break. And because we got to pay some bills here, we will be right back.
What were they thinking?
And we are back.
A dinosaur story.
Coming soon, although we've threatened it several times, it has not shown up.
Maybe we should just never do it.
No. Eventually it'll pop up because if we say it enough times, it'll make its way into the hat.
One day.
But this is our NPR moment. It's time for the low haiku. And Brendan, if you could be so kind as to describe what exactly is the low haiku.
The low haiku is a haiku that you and I read to our listeners. Kind of sums up the movie we just spent about an hour and some change describing. Just in a nice, poetic, 17-syllable driven quality.
And I feel that this is actually very apt, as this is a far more Eastern form of poetry, and we are talking about three ninjas.
With all white people.
Except Mori Tanaka.
Right.
I do feel bad that his last movie role was Three Ninjas High Noon at Mega Mountain.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
That is, it's like Raul Julia in Street Fighter.
Maybe,
But,
I think maybe worse than that.
Possibly. But we will make with the poetry here.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to try to stop with this modern parlance that we're using.
Yes.
And we're going to get to our NPR speaking vocabulary and lexicon.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to start, Brendan?
I would, actually.
Okay, please proceed.
Kid Ninjas. Ai-yah! Home Alone section to boot. Custom theme song? Yes.
Very good. Very good.
Thank you.
Mine reads as follows. Three ninjas are we, because they are super small, and they're together. I've used a double meaning for the word we in this case, but we don't have time to think about that because we're getting out of NPR. We have left NPR Valley behind. I think that's exactly where NPR is located. NPR Valley.
Is
isn't it?
is that the Undertaker's gimmicked hometown?
No, it's adjacent.
Oh, okay.
I actually think they share a councilman, and then when state elections are held, the people who are in Death Valley and NPR Valley actually have to vote for the same representative.
Oh,
So that's an interesting tidbit for you.
Whether that little NBC logo comes up.
Exactly. The more you know.
more you know.
Yep.
The more you
Yep.
know.
The Mori Tanaka, I've been drinking. So we've had our say on this. But Brendan, as far as our say, I don't feel that our listeners should necessarily just hear what we have to say. In fact, we have a section dedicated to this sort of thing. And what do we always say in this situation, Brendan?
Well, in this particular situation, we do tend to remark.
Don't take a word for us.
That's right. Do not or don't, because we're into conjunctions around here. Don't take our word for it. Brendan, can you kind of let me know what did the critics think of Three Ninjas?
Well, I will preface this by saying there's only about 22 reviews, but it looks like about a third, so it looks like 32% of the critics liked this film.
All right, you know what? Given the perspective, that's not too bad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming the audience they probably enjoyed it a fair bit more.
Well, it's still rotten, but out of 100,000 plus ratings, 53% of the audience enjoyed this particular film.
Okay, all right. Well, let's get into the legitimate ones, and see what they have to say.
Okay.
I will defer to you to go first, as our usual.
Okay.
Stuff.
Gene Siskel comes in hot right off the bat, and he says,
"Swinging."
Oh yeah, comes in swinging. He says, "This is a miserable ripoff of the Karate Kid." He gave that a 1 out of 4.
You know what? I don't feel that it's a miserable ripoff of the Karate Kid, because if that were the case, the kids would have been training for a penultimate or an ultimate or penultimate showdown.
I feel, I feel like it's definitely though like trying to get that level of. Because the karate thing was popular at the time, and I feel like...
But it was due to the Ninja Turtles. It wasn't due to the Karate Kid.
Maybe both. Maybe a combination of both. Because you got the old wise trainer. I know that's Ninja Turtles too, as well, but...
Splinter.
I don't know. I feel like it's a combination.
Okay. Well, Kevin McCarthy from WJKF-FM CBS Radio says... If you're under the age of 10, this movie was made for you. 3 out of 5.
There you go.
Because he's from CBS Radio, I gotta do a radio voice.
Nigel Kendall of Time Out says, Can the trio use their ninja secrets to escape? Will Granddad defeat the gun runner in hand-to-hand combat? If you can't guess the answers to these questions, you are under 11 and will absolutely love this film.
Well, Stephen Holden of the New York Times, he noted, the film can't seem to make up its mind whether it wants to be a comedy, a fantasy, or an adventure film. Stephen, why can't it be all three?
Yes, Stephen.
Come on, jeez. Apparently someone no longer visits Never Never Land. Jerk.
This will be my last critics one. John Hartle of the Seattle Times says, the movie is saddled with a junky visual style, haphazard editing, and occasional out-of-focus shots. 1 out of 4.
Okay. Well, my last one actually comes from the Desert News out of Salt Lake City, Utah. So Stephen Izzy, apparently, years and years ago, your country idol, Chris Hicks, used to write, that's just for us,
Yep.
and the people in New Brunswick. He used to write movie reviews, and he writes, for me, Three Ninjas had its amusing moments, but it was also tedious at times. There's no rating out of anything here.
Oh, it sounds negative to me.
It is a negative review.
Okay.
It's got the green.
Should we go into the snake pit?
Yes, let's.
The den of thieves?
Yes, let's.
All right.
See, I know how to improv.
The audience reviews. Okay. Well, John H. He gives this movie 5 out of stars. And he says a 32% rating from RT is ridiculous. This movie teaches kids good morals and independence and has an interesting storyline for a kid's movie. Still stands the test of time just for the fact that my 5-year-old daughter is requesting to watch it again on a Friday night in 2021. Light the eyes, boys. Light up the eyes. By the way, I like how he stresses my daughter was requesting this, and it was a Friday night. As if like this 5-year-old girl would go out on the town on a Friday night.
In 2021.
Right? I'm like, what are you talking about, John?
First of all, John Hamm, given the fact that it's 32% out of 22 adults reviewing it, I think 32 is a pretty respectable number for a kid's movie.
Yeah, calm down, Don Draper.
Right. Just take a second there, the FBI guy from the town.
Yeah, relax, other driver and baby driver.
Yeah, I skipped the dishes guy.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Well, my first one comes from Timothy H. I can only assume that it's Timothy Hutton.
Yep.
And he writes, it was a feel-good movie. The bad dudes were great. It would have worked if they had kept the cast together and maybe have Faster Hammer and Marcus could have returned for revenge.
No thanks.
5 out of stars.
Okay. I don't want that sequel.
They got, what do you mean? They got 3 of them. There were 3 sequels to this thing.
Yeah, I just don't want that version of it.
Okay.
Caleb M gives this 0.5 star. And Caleb says, this sucks. I can't try to make a movie this bad. Making someone watch this is making someone watch child pornography. Everything about it just makes you want to shove a knife through your throat. 0 out of 10, worst movie ever. Let's cool it with the child pornography
right?
comment.
That's a
Jesus.
bit much. Holy.
I don't.
That
by the
really.
By the way, watching child pornography doesn't make me want to shove a knife through my throat because I would never be in that first situation.
Anyhow, let's just move on. That my next review.
Hold on, Nathan.
Isaac.
I just have to report Caleb on the Rotten Tomatoes page.
You do that.
Okay, go ahead.
My review comes from Isaac O, and I assume this is a stealth review, so we don't all know that it's Oscar Isaac.
Oh.
And he writes, it is cool. The lesson is to follow your dream, no matter what people say. 5 out of stars. I don't see that. We do get a nice reconciliation between the father and the father-in-law, where where Rocky and Colt and Tum Tum's dad is like okay with them training with Mori Tanaka. to learn to be ninjas, but I don't the follow your dreams. Yeah, I don't get that. And he didn't even finish it with beefcake. Beefcake.
Okay. Samantha D says 5 out of stars, and she says, "This movie when I was a first kid. I'm so loving this movie."
Good. Whatever makes you happy.
Yeah.
My next one, actually, I believe they left their last name off because it's just Paul F. And I'm pretty sure it's Paul F. Tompkins.
Oh, sweet.
And podcaster extraordinaire. Writes, a fun movie I grew up emulating with my brother and friends. Cheesy at times, but in context, a great, fun, butt-kicking kids adventure. 3.5 out of stars, which I think is pretty appropriate.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. This is my last one. It's from Jordan C. We know someone, but I'm not saying his name because that guy's a fucking lunatic. He gives it 0.5 star out of stars. And he says, "I hate this movie. It ruined my life."
Jesus, that's a pretty easy life if 3 ninjas ruined it.
I want the backstory, by the way.
Please, yes. Well, my last one comes from Zdravko P.
Oh.
Spelled Zdravko
Yeah.
P.
Just like it sounds.
Right, exactly. And he has I actually think it's a pretty succinct, intelligent, almost cerebral take on this film. And he writes, excuse me, I have to clear my throat. I want to do it justice. Rocky loves Emily. Rocky loves Emily. Rocky loves Emily. Rocky loves Emily. 2.5 out of stars.
Wow. It's amazing. Yeah. Amazing review.
So, that's the tomatoes. That's their take on it. So take it as it were. We're gonna roll on here into a little recommendation section we've been using now for the last little bit. Since we're all kind of staying in, isolating, quarantine, trying not to spread, getting our shots like I did today. Not the whiskey shots that I normally do before I record these things, but my actual vaccine shot. But because we've been doing that, we've actually been doing our best to kind of keep ourselves entertained. Obviously, that's taking in a lot of media through streaming and things like that. So it leads me to beg the question, Brendan.
Yeah.
What you watching, bud?
Well, I've got a real simple recommendation here. It's a movie that came out this year. It's a movie called Willy's Wonderland. And
sounds dirty.
Oh, Nathan, if you want to see a movie where Nicolas Cage goes into a shut-down amusement park and beats the shit out of evil animatronics for an hour and a half, this is your movie.
So this is the movie that they filmed because they couldn't get the rights to Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that too. It does definitely look like that. But it's great. Like I'm not sugarcoating it. This is so entertaining. And Nicolas Cage is actually, he doesn't have any lines in the movie. It's a silent character.
He doesn't talk at all?
At all. He grunts and he kind of says, "Oh," or whatever, but, he doesn't speak any dialogue. And it just makes his performance, something even, it's very, you're into it, because you don't know quite what he's doing. You don't know quite why he's there or how he got there. So it adds this mysteriousness to him where you already have a mysteriousness to everything Nicolas Cage does because he's Nicolas Cage. But yes, this movie is gory. It's hilarious. It's ridiculous. Watch it. Update the AFI Top 100 right now. Willy's Wonderland. Stick it in that list.
And he was able to convey the insanity that is Nicolas Cage without saying a word.
Without saying a goddamn word.
Oof, I'm kind of sold now. There's some Nicolas Cage movies. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of people say that they act like he is like a person who can do no wrong, and I wholeheartedly disagree. But this has got me intrigued.
He's always
I
entertaining
think
in bad shit, though. I think
that is fair.
Yeah.
That is fair. Okay. Yeah. So Willy's Wonderland.
Willy's Wonderland. So Nathan, what about you, bud? What you watching?
Well, I actually today I actually watched an old movie that I was misled by the display art on Tubi that I thought The Rock was going to play a lot bigger part in this movie. But today I watched Empire State. And that aside, the fact that I was waiting for more of The Rock in this movie, I was actually kind of pleased with some of the story. It's based on actual events.
When you say The Rock, you mean The Rock Don Morocco, right?
No, I mean Rock the Dwayne Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah. And he plays a cop, but he's actually a supporting character. The movie itself centers on an armored car heist that really happened. And like $25 million was stolen. There's some pretty good acting going on in it. I feel it probably flew under a lot of people's radar simply because that when it came out, again, The Rock was featured prominently in a lot of the the promotional materials for it, and he's not in there, so it definitely would have fell prey to people being mad at it for being like kind of a bait and switch film. But if you're listening to me and I'm saying, hey, if you're not going into it expecting a whole lot of The Rock, you might actually be kind of pleasantly surprised.
You'll get some Liam Hemsworth and Emma Roberts apparently.
Yep.
Which I mean Liam Hemsworth's fine. I'm definitely a Emma Roberts fan. Led astray by you and Amanda the Jedi telling me that, if you really like Emma Roberts, you'll really like that new The Hunt movie. Fuck you guys.
You didn't care for The Hunt?
No, I liked The Hunt, but you both told me Emma Roberts played such a prominent part that she just gets gunned down, or she just explodes in like the first 45 seconds. Oh.
So you did like The Hunt. You did like The Hunt, though, right?
I did like The Hunt. I think I have to rewatch it because I think I might like it more on the rewatch.
I think my favorite part about that whole thing was, and I can't remember her name right now to save my life, but she was the kind of snooty doctor in Nurse Jackie. She's the protagonist. And
it's what's her face from Glow as well.
I loved her. It was probably one of my favorite turns for her in a movie or in anything that I've seen her in, which tells me that if she doesn't become a breakout star, she either is suffering from Jason Clarke syndrome or she's just wretched to work with. That's the only thing I can think of, because she's clearly got range and she's got chops.
Yeah. Or, she's just a victim of the sexist Hollywood system.
Right. But I thought we fixed all that because Harvey Weinstein is in jail. It's hashtag fire not wine.
Yeah, no, it's all better now. There's no more abusers in Hollywood.
No, we took care of it all, right? We as men took care of it all.
Yeah, ladies, we got this, all right? God.
Okay, so that's what we're watching, folks. That's what we're watching.
Yep. But what are we watching next week, Nathan?
What are we watching next week?
We're watching, for Listener's Choice Month, next week we're watching the religious epic.
Oh, yes.
The Encounter, starring Steve Sting Borden.
Not Gordon Sting Sumner.
Unfortunately not. So that's our Small-Screen Shameful next week.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Just set your RSS feeds to that.
There you go.
I was going to say PVRs, but we're a podcast. So.
Set your RSS feeds.
That's what it's called, isn't it?
Yeah. I just like the idea of someone setting it like an alarm clock.
They set it to download it as soon as it's released. Yeah, that's how that works. Don't make me feel old, Brendan.
Subscribe. I mean, that's subscribing.
Well, it's actually a little bit of extra because you're subscribing, but you're also setting it to download as soon as it's available.
All right,
you want to hear our hot take on the Encounter.
I feel like it's not going to be a hot take. Just predicting that right now. Never saw it.
You never know. One of us might end up being born again Christians by next week. We'll see.
No, I will quit the podcast, whichever one of us it is.
Well, because if it's you, you're gonna quit the podcast because you can't take us all this drug talk and drinking talk and swearing and yeah. But
low morals.
That's coming up next week. If you'll pardon me a moment, I will get a good friend of mine to come on and pimp his YouTube channel.
Okay.
1 second. Hello, it's good friend Montrose Monkington III here, and I'm just going to cut to the chase here. Do check out my YouTube channel, Montrose Monkington TV. You can also be friends with me on Facebook in the Facebook group Montrose Monkington III Esquire and Friends, and you can also tweet at me on your Twitter devices at Montrose III. That's the number 3 D. Also, I believe someone called out to that Steve chap to tweet at me before about what it was like to be a ninja in California and if he had to wear safety goggles. What I'm saying now is do not at me, Steve. I don't want to hear it. Make sure you send your ats to Brendan or Nathan or WWTT Podcast. Thank you. More later.
Wow. He quickly rejected that idea there, Nathan.
I think he just doesn't want to get spammed, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't have opposable thumbs, so I mean, you got to take that into consideration. It takes him longer to tweet something, even though he hasn't tweeted anything in probably years.
Yep. But I'm glad Montrose did mention that we are WWTT Podcast on Twitter, because that segs nicely into this next part. But that's where you can find us. And we're also on Facebook. And we're on all the podcast apps, but our home base is Age of Radio.
Big time!
And you can find us there, ageofradio.org/whatweretheythinking. We are on patreon.com/WWTT Podcast. Check that out. TeePublic, Redbubble, all that good stuff.
So that's this week's episode. Everything is kind of tied up in a neat little package.
Well,
it is. I mean, I'm sorry if that sounded sarcastic, but no, actually, it's not. It's not. I do have to defer to you because Brendan, as the one who was leading the charge on Three Ninjas, and the one who has has tangible memories of having seen it the first time. I guess I defer to you. Do you have any questions about Three Ninjas?
I have a few.
All right. Well, you know what? Proceed.
Well, in a movie in which a criminal mastermind like this guy Snyder apparently does not know how to hire intelligent people in his employ. No,
because they're cheaper.
Right. Aside from maybe Rushmore. But again, he also gets taken down by children.
Fairly easily.
In a movie in which well, you know what? Kudos. You at least got the right Mario game sounds.
But
they don't know.
Bong.
Right. But they don't know how tin can phones work. In a movie in which the three bruhiest bros travel around town in a van in a suburban neighborhood looking for kids to kidnap, which they also ask their boss, "Any kids?" Creepy.
Right.
In a movie in which they have a poop joke in a kids movie in the 90s and they don't really go all the way with it.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah, so much poop jokes. And in a movie in which ultimately, the good ninja wins with the aid of jelly beans. I guess I just have to ask.
What's that, my friend?
What were they thinking? Ai-yah!
I'm Going for mine every time you see me. Laugh and treat me bad, but you can't defeat me. I believe in myself, that's why you can't fade this. With a full logical, totally awesome arrangement. Prepared for any situation. Be it good, bad, or even petty application. Hanging out of school trying to gain a reputation. All it's gonna get you is a long vacation. Power. Power of the kids. Power. Kid power. Power. Power of the kids. Power. Kid power. What is really going on? What made you think you just gonna disrespect me, your friends, your family, and all the people around you? Ain't nothing gonna happen. I don't even think so.
Hey, believe in yourself. Hey!
See? Nobody move, nobody get hurt.
Man, you ain't gonna do that.
So watch me work as I persist to this and uplift the rapper grip.
What up with that?